Rent roll due diligence is probably the most important thing in running a real estate office. So rent roll due diligence is undergoing like a car. You literally pop the hood and actually check what is underneath the hood because, everything's running fine, but something needs fine tuning. So rent roll due diligence allows, so when you're running a business, because there's different levels, right? So when you're running a business, you want to fine tune the car basically and make sure it's constantly running right. And like we said before, you got a lot of hands touching the pie all the time. So things go missing. Rent roll due diligence is about literally stripping apart the car, the portfolio, and going and deep diving to make sure everything's done correctly. We have so much legislation that we actually have to adhere to in the real estate industry. So it's not just, real estate legislation and tenancy legislation, like you think about it. We also maintain properties on the basis of building legislation, pool legislation, fire legislation. So we have so many different areas that we have to take into consideration. And as a licensee in charge, if something goes wrong, the buck stops with you.
Welcome back to another episode of the Property Management Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Now, if you're a business owner, your rent roll is a stable source of income and you need to keep it that way. The more profitable it is, the better for your business. But what happens when we grow and the bigger we get, the more things seem to get missed inside the business. The more our team misses, and not because they aren't good at their jobs, but they simply don't have time to cross all the T's and dot all the I's all the time. And I see it all the time inside my own business. Heck, I'm even guilty of it myself. I am not good with attention to detail. I will say it now and I will say it probably forever. And at the end of the day, though, when you don't have all your processes or you don't check on your processes, this can have dire consequences inside your business. There's litigation, there's huge fines for non-compliance, and of course, there's the loss of valuable income it can cause. And if you think your business is watertight and this wouldn't happen to you, then think again. My guest in this episode needs no introduction. It's the rent roll queen herself, Tarsi Hynes, founder of the Tarsi Way. And she's been inside almost 3,000 businesses, and she has yet to come across one that doesn't have some sort of an issue with compliance or loss of income. Now she's created something so epic and so valuable for the industry that you won't want to waste your time getting your hands on it. She's created a course so that you can conduct your own rent roll due diligence. Yes, you heard me right. Inside this course, she's sharing over 25 years of experience, templates, spreadsheets, and her entire process for conducting a rent roll due diligence. Spots will be limited to join, and there is a link in the show notes. But first, I want you to take a listen to my conversation with Tarsi, where she shares an update on the industry, her due diligence tips, and how to increase the profitability in your rent roll today. Tarsi, thank you so much for joining me on another episode of the podcast. You are no stranger to this podcast. You've been on a few times previously, and I've got you back because you do have so much valuable information and insights to share with anyone listening. So tell me, I won't get you to introduce yourself because anyone that wants to find out about your background can go back and listen to a previous episode. But tell me, what are you seeing in the industry? You work with so many business owners. What's happening at the moment? What is going on?
Oh my goodness, thank you. That's a massive question. There's so many parts to pick on that one. So no matter what, I've been seeing the same thing for about 25 years. It doesn't make a real difference on what year it is. Business owners are tired. That's the first one. There's a lot of burnt out business owners out there. So the burnout is real in our industry, and I really feel compassion towards business owners and everything they do. We're just wearing so many hats. And because we are wearing so many hats, what I'm seeing as well is that, in their property management departments, even in their sales, things slide. we get so time poor in running and trying to create and make things happen and, manage people and manage clients and relationships and then manage a business that a lot of the time we don't have the opportunity from my clients. They don't have the opportunity at looking inside their business properly to know what's really going on. And I mean, you're very well aware of it. We do have a labor shortage at the moment. So it is difficult to get some really good quality property managers in seats at the moment. And it's so important to know how to manage those people so that you can really alleviate, because it's not only like business owners that are tired, it's property managers that are tired. Like the actual employees are tired too, because they're doing so many different things. So many different things get missing when you got a lot of people touching the pie. So I'm seeing a lot of that going on, multiples in the industry. So if we jump into the sales, we've got quite a few rent rolls up for sale at the moment, and multiples are holding strong, but there is a very big range. So depending on why people are wanting to sell their rent rolls will depend on their drive for what type of multiple they're going to achieve. But I am seeing quite a few burnt out business owners coming to the party and being like, yeah, I think it's time to get out. But on the other side, I see a lot of clients who are, I want to grow my business. And to me, it is honestly like putting an extension on your home and then not doing the proper things at the right time to get that ready for that next level of foundation.
Fantastic. That is amazing. Well, let's dive into today's topic, and we're talking about rent roll due diligence. And so maybe share a little bit, just for anyone listening who may not be familiar with that term, what exactly it is. Let's break it down a little bit. What is rent roll due diligence and why is it important? If you are anything like me, you think you know your rent roll numbers. Well, I thought I did until I had a rent roll health check, and I was quite literally shocked. The money I was leaving on the table was astounding, and this is not something that I'm proud to admit. There were missed management fees, let fees, advertising, and lease renewal fees not being charged, and properties even without bonds. And all of this was happening despite monthly audits being conducted in my business. So how did I uncover all these gaps in my valuable income? Well, I had a rent roll due diligence from my good friend Tarsi, aka the Rent Roll Queen and founder of the Tarsi Way, a specialist in rent roll due diligence, business valuation and management rights. The Tarsi Way is the innovative force driving the real estate industry. With 25 years of business and real estate acumen, they find gaps and risks in your agency to find undiscovered value. If you'd like to book your business in for a rent roll due diligence, head to the link in the show notes and mention That Property Mum for a 10% discount.
This is my favorite topic, and you're going to probably see my eyes just completely light up. Honestly, rent roll due diligence is probably the most important thing in running a real estate office. So rent roll due diligence is undergoing like a car. You literally pop the hood and actually check what is underneath the hood, because everything's running fine, but something needs fine tuning. So rent roll due diligence allows, so when you're running a business, because there's different levels, right? So when you're running a business, you want to fine tune the car basically and make sure it's constantly running right. And like we said before, you got a lot of hands touching the pie all the time. So things go missing. Rent roll due diligence is about literally stripping apart the car, the portfolio, and going and deep diving to make sure everything's done correctly. We have so much legislation that we actually have to adhere to in the real estate industry. So it's not just, real estate legislation and tenancy legislation. Like you think about it, we also maintain properties on the basis of building legislation, pool legislation, fire legislation. So we have so many different areas that we have to take into consideration. And as a licensee in charge, if something goes wrong, the buck stops with you. So if you're going to end up in a litigation matter, it's on you. So due diligence allows a business owner to actually track what's going on underneath their actual business and also see how their property managers are performing. Because a lot of times, and I'm sure you can vouch for this, a property manager will leave the agency, and just before they're going to be leaving, or over the time that they're actually in your office, they're not doing things properly, and some things start to surface after they've gone, but you still aren't fully aware of what's been done while they were actually in that seat. And even when you've got property managers who are very good at their job, they're still time poor. They're managing multiple properties, doing multiple things at multiple times, so things go missing. Due diligence is a way of actually finding everything and making sure that you are compliant, that you are adhering to legislation, and that you can also have confident discussions with your property management team to see where they actually need support. So you can, better staff training, better staff conversations. And then once you know what's actually going on, to be completely honest, you're going to have so much confidence in your team, in your portfolio, and then you can go out and get more and more landlords because you're confident in what's actually going on in your business and how you're actually operating. So the conversations are completely different. So that's when you're running a business. Then when you're preparing for sale, rent roll due diligence, it's all about making sure that everything is there before you go and put that on the open market. So, it's like it's like renovating a house. You're going to put it on the market. You want top dollar. You got to renovate it, right? You got to make sure everything is done to perfection. And then you put it on the open market. And then what happens when you don't do that is your buyer comes in and they employ a due diligence expert like myself. And it is my job to come in and absolutely scrutinize the rent roll. And I mean scrutinize it. So I have to pull it completely apart and find out what's going on. And sadly, 9 times out of 10, my clients are able to renegotiate the multiplier because of what hasn't been done. So then the seller's missing out on money at the end of, and one property management file. So one property management file, you think about it, right? You're earning like $2,000 per property per annum. Let's just say it on a basis. And a multiple of 3 times makes it $6,000. So you lose $6,000, and that's $6,000 you're going to get, but you might not actually get that $6,000 because all of a sudden they come in and renegotiate the multiplier. And depending on how poorly that portfolio has been performing, because things haven't been done correctly, no one's been watching, then that's a lot of money at the end of the day. Like you talk about like 100 properties, that's quite a bit of money that you haven't achieved as a seller, but the buyer's had a massive win. So, it's pretty important. And then as a buyer, due diligence is important for them, not only from the contract point of view, right? So in your contract of sale, you have a clause that is a due diligence clause. You're given a certain amount of time to go in and scrutinize the rent roll. And then you can make a decision if you're going to purchase it. But what happens is, like I said before, I'm going to put an extension on my home. And no one thinks about what actually goes into putting an extension on your home. But when you actually think about it from a property point of view, you need to employ the right people, right? You've got the architects, you got to make sure the foundation will actually support the actual growth of that property. But no one does that in their own business.
That's incredible. And I've had you in to do a due diligence in my own office. And one of the things that it highlighted for me was how much money potentially I was missing out on by incorrect management fees, or management fees not being put in there, or additional fees not being collected. Yeah. So I think that money point for a lot of businesses, even if you're not going to sell, having that annual due diligence done to make sure that you are getting all the income potential. If you're ready to be a super organised, focused and productive property manager, buckle up, because Colmio is about to revolutionise the way that you work. Colmio is the driving force behind property management excellence in residential real estate. Now picture this, a comprehensive end-to-end system designed to be the beating heart of your property management tasks, manage your properties, owners and tenants, and handle payments, inspections, and even marketing listings without leaving the platform. Colmio is designed to be an all-in-one solution to all your property management needs. And here's the game changer. Colmio isn't just software. It's been awarded the most innovative prop tech scale up in 2023. Yes, you heard it right. Colmio has been recognised for their groundbreaking approach to property management software. How good is that? So property managers, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, dive into the future of property management with Colmio. You can book in a demo with the team today and go in their weekly draw for a Prezi gift card worth $100. All you need to do is to head to the link colmio.com/thatpropertymum, and Colmio is KOLMEO.
Oh, I had a client who was missing out on 19% of property management fees because they weren't put into the system correctly. They didn't match their management agreements. Like, it was insane to think that you're losing out on that much additional income that you could have been earning into your business. And to be honest, they were crying like, we don't have enough. You don't have enough because you're not watching. And it's in every rent roll. I've worked with nearly 2,700 business owners. And I can honestly say not one business has had everything correct. Not their income, not their paperwork, nothing. So it's an actual problem in our industry, a massive problem in our industry. I get it, because business owners are time poor. It's so difficult.
Absolutely. And now you have got a solution though for that problem for business owners who are time poor and cannot get in and do a due diligence themselves. Tell us about that.
I do. I've got a few solutions for them, but the number one key is every business owner should actually know how to do due diligence. But there is a process and a procedure that needs to be followed to actually do it correctly. And it does take time, and it's going to be up to you as a business owner on how much time you want to dedicate to getting it done. But I can guarantee once you start, you become obsessed because you start to see the results. So what I have created for the industry is I've been doing due diligence for a very long time now. My process is extremely streamlined, and I am ready to give the secrets away. So I've created a rent roll due diligence course. It is called Portfolio Optimization Due Diligence Blueprint, and it is all about teaching you as a business owner how to do due diligence in your rent roll at any point in time. So you can literally use this. So if you've got a property manager who's not performing and you're a little bit shaky on what's actually going on, you can jump in and do this. It's all behind the scenes. No one has to know that you're actually doing it. And you can go and clarify what's actually happening in that part of that portfolio, or you can streamline it over your total portfolio. And you can do this year after year. The first time you do it will take the most amount of time. That's true. But as you do it continuously every year, like an annual little review, you're sitting there, it's Christmas, you've gone with your family, you're like, everyone's asleep. I'm just going to jump in here and have a look at what's actually going on. And you can do a slight update and honestly see how everyone is performing. So this allows the process that I've got is what I do for business owners. I go into their business and it's exactly the same process that I do. There's nothing else. So I will teach you how to find everything in a way that you will know everything about your rent roll. Like, I'm talking intimately. You are about to become an intimate partner with your actual business.
That is exciting. Please sign me up. I want to be the first student on your list. And this works across any software platform. It doesn't have to be a specific software platform. You can do it for any platform.
Any platform. There is coaching as well, just so you know. I don't just create this and just leave you guys in the lurch. Like, I absolutely would never do that. That is not my style. It is so it's a 16-week course. It runs for 16 weeks. And over 16 weeks, there are 4 modules that are 4 weeks each. And I will teach you how to go through that process. So you'll get the whole course, and then you can jump in and we have our conversations, and then you can email me and be like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. Where do I find this? And it doesn't matter which platform you're on. The basis of the due diligence is exactly the same. you can just manipulate it to the actual software that you've got. So for the course itself, though, I've looked at Console, Property Me, and Property Tree as the three that I will base the due diligence on. And that is purely because that is the majority of real estate agents, especially here in Australia. They utilize those platforms. Now, if you're in America, there are all these different softwares. And yes, I've done this process in America as well. So I know that it works for for the American market and pretty much everywhere around the world. There's the solution is a one solution for everyone. The process is exactly the same. It's just manipulated to your actual software. So you don't need to worry about what software you're using. And if you've got any questions, I am always here to guide. That's how it will work.
So it's kind of like a do-it-yourself, but with a done-for-you due diligence service. So when does it start? How can people get signed up to get started? Because I'm sure this is going to be very popular. There's been so much talk of stress, overwhelm, and burnout in property management lately. Do you want to know how I overcame all of that? Yes, I hit rock bottom multiple times, but I got myself a virtual assistant. Actually, not just one, but three. But I didn't just get any VA, I got a PMVA. What are they? Well, they are the most well-trained in the business. And not only that, you also have a backup VA, so that essentially your business is never without admin support ever again. And my health, time, and business has never looked back. Your PMVA can take care of tasks like rent arrears, lease preparation and renewals, maintenance follow-up, routine inspection bookings, data entry, audits, prospecting, inbox management, and so much more. And the best part of implementing a PMVA in my business was that it freed up my time and my team's time to take care of important things like customer service. What makes me feel so safe is that PMVA is owned by Tiffany Botel, both here and in the Philippines, making my data secure and giving me more control over the VA arrangement. So head to the link in the show notes to book in your discovery call with Lady Boss Tiff.
So the very first intake is open right now, but the course doesn't begin until the 29th of January. It is extremely important that everybody go and enjoy their Christmas break. I've also released a book. Well, it's releasing tomorrow about burnout in the real estate industry. So I am very aware of where business owners need to be right now, and they really do need to be with their family and friends. And I understand that. So I'm launching this on the 29th of January. And it goes for 16 weeks, and there won't be another intake until the following, for the next semester, basically. So anyone who wants to get involved and really wants to know what's going on in their rent roll, whether you're about to sell, you're thinking about selling, you're thinking about buying, or you're thinking about just fine-tuning your own business, now's the opportunity to get in.
That is amazing. And I'm sure there'll be a link that I can share in the show notes for everybody to get signed up and get in. I'm sure there's going to be a rush. Tarsi, are you prepared?
Oh, I definitely am. I'm so excited to be bringing this to the industry. Honestly, I can do only one office at a time. And this is me being able to help the industry on such a larger scale. And I'm super excited.
Oh, that is amazing. Now, I just wanted to quickly digress a little bit. And because I've got the Rent Roll Queen on the podcast with me right now, I'm going to selfishly ask a question that I am interested in my own business at the moment. And it's around the topic of how do I make my rent roll more profitable? Is it increasing my management fees? Is it adding on other fees? What have you seen with all the other businesses that you've worked with? Or can you give me some advice? Give me a bit of a coaching session around that topic?
Certainly, I'd be more than happy to. So first and foremost, it's all about do the due diligence, right? And make sure that everything is in line, and make sure you're actually collecting every single fee that you have agreed to in the agreements. That's extremely important. And make sure your management fees are there, because at the moment, as your rents are increasing, because we're in an increasing rent market, so as they are increasing, your management fees should also be increasing. So long as you are making sure that your management fees are true and correct, as agreed, then that will collect more money for you. So that is first and foremost, is do that process and get yourself to know that you are collecting every single dollar you're meant to. If you've got manual fees, it is going back and checking through to make sure that all those fees have actually been collected. That's important too, because what you want to do is educate your landlords that you do collect these fees as per the agreement. It's not that, oh, I missed it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of landlords won't come to you and go, hey, you missed out on charging me a lease renewal fee. You got to go and collect it, right? So really important that you're making sure that you're collecting all the additional fees and charges that you've agreed to in your management agreement. Once you're confident with that, then it's the process of starting to increase the fees. And the best way of doing that is having do a mystery shop, know what's actually out there in your market, just so that you know. Now, I don't believe in competition in any form. I believe in collaboration. But for a business owner, when you are in such a market where there are so many different businesses within your marketplace, it is important to also know what everybody else is charging. So I would go through and do a mystery shop so I know what I hate saying competitors. It's a horrible word. I would see what everybody else is charging in the industry. So I have a very clear indication of what everybody's going to be charging. And then I would restructure my fees and charges around what's actually going on, but also knowing what my value is that I bring to my client. So that's really important. You have to be very certain that everything is going well and that you're up to date with everything, and that, you know, you don't have disgruntled tenants, you don't have disgruntled landlords. I mean, there's always going to be a couple, but I'm talking like overall. You don't want to, the last thing we want to do is have business walking out the door. But we're happy if it's a C class or a D class landlord that, if they want to go, see ya. But you know what I'm saying? So because this is going to be the forefront of how you present your fees and charges moving forward to get new landlords as well. So because they're going to be the ones that you're going to be bringing on at those new fee structure. Then with your current landlords, it's having conversations. Don't just present them with, hey, we've increased our fees and just send out a mail out. That's just going to be damaging. Actually pick up the phone and actually have a conversation with the landlord. Make sure that they're happy with your service, and then just let them know, look, in line with legislation, we're going to be sending out brand new management agreements. We do have a slightly new fee structure, and then, you can run through the fee structure with them, then send it all off, ring them again. Have you got any questions? It's all about the relationship, right? And having that confident conversation and effectively communicating what you actually bring. So you really need to know what you're doing.
Absolutely. That's such brilliant advice. I love that. And the reason I want to put my fees up is, and I'm confident with all of that stuff that you mentioned, but the reason is that, I've brought on Tappy, the maintenance software, which is saving our landlords. I'm going to do some figures around it, but I know it's saving our landlords a lot of money in wasted maintenance, which is big because obviously we've got new legislation now around maintenance, but we're still managing to save them money. I've got a new inspection software as well, Inspection Express. And of course, there's extra subscriptions for those.
Yes.
But we're also, again, with the inspection software, we're saving them money by having to go to QCAT because the photographic reports are so comprehensive. There's no room for dispute when you go to QCAT. So there's thousands of dollars saved right there as well. So, but again, that's costing me money. And even though rents are increasing and my management fees are increasing, it's still, there's extra fees that I'm paying to give,
100%.
To save our property owners money. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, if I'm not making money as well, wages have gone up, there's a whole, I don't need to tell people in the industry.
You've got to remember, Kylie, you're running a business. You're not running a charity, and this is where people get very forgetful. Is that they want more. They want the quantity of landlords instead of the quality of landlords, right? So when you're looking at things, I have expenses every day. I've got subscriptions. I've got overheads to run an office. My property managers are demanding more and more money. So, and look, don't get me wrong, they're damn well worth it. The good ones are damn well worth the money you pay them. However, that comes at an expense to you and your family and your personal goals as well. So you got to always remember, you are your business. and your financials, your finances from your business and your personal life intertwine together. So it's really important to make sure that you are collecting the right fees and increasing them and constantly increasing them. It's not like a thing that you just do once off and and that's it, and it sits there for 5 to 10 years. I mean, every real estate agent goes and gets a new management agreement, signs it up, and doesn't do anything about it other than rent the property out for the next 10 years or whatever they're going to stay with you. There's no increase in the actual management fee. There's no conversation around that. And that's something, I mean, Malcolm was amazing for this. And I remember being a student in REIQ, listening to him, and he used to do it every 2 years. Every 2 years, his landlords knew that there was a fee increase because your fees continue. I mean, your expenses continue to increase. Why should your fees not increase? They have to match. There's got to be a balance. It's not just on rent. Everyone just goes, oh, but it's collected on rent. Or I don't know how many times I've heard property managers go, oh, yeah, I don't charge the administration fees. It's just a press of a button. What about all the work that you've actually done? And I've said this to you before, and I know you've heard this. You've got to remember the life, when you actually start to think about the life of a tenant, the life of a landlord, the life of a property manager, and you look at everything that goes in underneath that and operating that on behalf of people and on behalf of yourself, why are we charging cheap fees? Why are we not increasing? Why are we not communicating with our landlords and increasing our fees and getting them to understand that that's actually what we do in our business? It doesn't have to be every 2 years. Why do we just leave them? Because it's too hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And you've given me a good kick in the butt to get moving on this. So yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Now, how can our audience connect with you further?
Okay, so I will share a link with you, Kylie, and if you can share that with your audience, I would really, really appreciate it. And if anybody's got any questions, you can reach out to me at my email address, tarsi@thetarsiway.com, or just give me a call, 0420-909-940. I'm happy to chat about anything rent roll that goes on. It doesn't matter what it is. No question is too silly, and I'd be more than happy to work with you and answer them.
Amazing. Tarsi, thank you so much for another amazing conversation and sharing all your valuable advice with my audience.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me again.
One thing I dread doing is chasing up rent arrears and debt collection. It takes up valuable time and it can often lead to conflict. But it is a necessary evil when you are running a property management business. But there is an easier way to make sure your tenants' rent is paid on time and in advance, and it's called RentPay. RentPay is a secure and simple to use payment platform that saves agents time and money with fast, accurate receipting while making life better for renters. To top it all off, you'll never have to worry about dishonor fees or unknown deposits again. How good is that? Cleared funds are deposited straight into your bank account in a single daily payment with accurate receipting and reference numbers auto-assigned, and it's fully compatible with all trust accounting systems. It's a super flexible payment option for tenants who can pay rent in multiple ways, including direct debit, credit card, or instantly pay with Payer ID. Fees are minimal, and RentPay even helps with the rent arrears process by automating reminders to renters when payments are due or missed. If you are currently paying large bank fees, struggling with constant dishonors because the funds aren't cleared when their funds land in your trust, or wasting time chasing up unknown payments, I encourage you to book in a free demo with RentPay and give yourself and your renters an easier way to pay rent. Can I ask you a quick favour before you leave this episode? Now, we all know how important reviews are for businesses these days, and mine is no different. If you could spare just a minute to follow, rate and review this podcast, it would mean a lot to me. In fact, what would get me super excited is if you share this podcast with someone in the industry who you think might need to hear some of the episodes right now. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me or any of the products I have to help you start, grow or scale your property management business, head to my website, thatpropertymum.com.au, or check out the links in the show notes.